They call me months later. They say, I didn't see it coming. They bought this fire burnout or this flooded property, or they buy a luxury property with insane carrying costs and nearly zero marketplace that wants to buy it from them to say, I lost $50,000, $100,000 on my flip. And if they've just followed what I just showed you, it was all completely avoidable.
But I can see the world from up here, from up here, from up here. The world from up here.
Hey team, truth be told, a lot of new flippers lose thousands of dollars because they will come into the business without a good strategy, jump into a high risk game and think they're gonna hit a home run. And the reality is you can make predictably $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 a property successfully flipping real estate in Central Florida and really probably anywhere else in the country. I've personally flipped over 200 homes in Central Florida, and I'm gonna tell you that I have a method that is on the low to intermediate risk scale at best. And what I'm gonna tell you is even with my expertise, I avoid the high risk game, but you've got to know how to flip houses the smart way. You have to know how to run your numbers. You have to know where to find the right deals. And most importantly, you have to know how to avoid the mistakes that end up burying most new rookies. This, my friends, is a complete guide of my nearly 20 years of experience dealing with investment real estate. And if you're a beginner, you're gonna learn a ton. And even if you've flipped a few properties already, you're gonna learn some of my personal tips and insider secrets to make this as predictable and highly profitable every single time. Let's get into it. Now, right off the bat, let's talk about risk. The truth is, the more risk you take, the higher the potential profit, but also there is a much higher chance that you're gonna get burned. And I know you've all seen these stories on Instagram. I bought a house for $200,000 and sold it for $400,000. But you also didn't see the budget overruns. You didn't see the big hassles of dealing with municipalities and waiting for the permits to come through, all the nonsense that can go with that. And so the reality is, I'm going to tell you up front, my way is not everybody else's way. I personally like low to maximum intermediate risk deals. I do not try to play in anything that is extraordinarily dangerous, and it has served me well over many, many flips. So Jared, what do your moderate risk flips look like? Well, think grandma's house. You got properties from the 70s or 80s. I love them. Pink cabinet, shag carpet, the wallpaper is everywhere, but the bones are solid. And I really love when they've been on top of repairs, and many folks are. They'll buy a property, they'll own it for years and years and take care of it gracefully. And there won't be a ton of things that have to be done. The roof's already been done recently. The AC mechanicals aren't even that old. And all I've got to do is give it a facelift. And the truth be told, I may only make $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on a flip like that. But if it's done right, it's predictable and it's safe. So Jared, what is a high risk deal? Well, I don't like burnouts. If there's fire damage, I avoid it. If there's major wood rot, if you have major outbreak of termites, where it is surprisingly could be everywhere, you have Swiss cheese, weak walls all over the place, be careful with that. I wouldn't even touch it. If there was a flood in a home that originated towards the bottom end of the house, like meaning the floor is flooded a few inches up the wall, something like that, and you're ripping all that out, no problem. If you've got a hole in the roof that was there for maybe a year and a half and water just kept coming in and it's all through the top down environment where interior of the walls have rot and all this, not going to mess with it. The reality is properties that need architects, engineers, and city approvals before you even touch drywall is not a good plan unless you are an expert. Yes, you can make more money, but you can also get stuck for months and lose your shirt. Even with 200 flips behind me, I still pass on these types of properties all of the time. Here's my rule of thumb. In a low to moderate risk flip, I aim for 10 to 15% net profit after all cost. If I'm forced into a high risk or luxury flip, I want 20+% minimum because of the time, the holding costs, and risk that things going sideways are much higher. Now, smart flippers don't price the deal the same every time. They adjust it based on risk. But recapping that point, you're going to find out a lot of places online, they talk about the 70% rule. So they say, you know what, you're going to make an offer 70% after you factor in your cost to flip this property. And that's basically what your offer amount is. I do not play that way because if I go in on a property that has lower risk or intermediate risk and I play these huge low discount margins, I'm going to end up getting beat because those properties have more demand and they're going to have more investors wanting to purchase them. They might even have public end user buyers wanting to buy them. The reality is, if I want to make a reasonable profit on lower risk deals, it makes much more sense. Investors going with the 70% rule, at least in my area, they either get stuck and relegated to the most high risk properties only, or they end up in situations where they're buying properties with very low demand. They're buying in marketplaces where nobody wants the property anyways. Good on you. They have these big home run hits and they come few and far between. And maybe, just maybe, they got enough margin that they don't get stuck with it. All right, Jared, low to intermediate risk, 10 to 15% profit goals, 20% higher when we're talking about higher risk deals. That all makes sense, but let's talk about how you actually find a property. Now, the truth be told, there's no magic bullet. All real estate flipping is profitable because of adding value and motivated sellers. That's the winning combination. That's the only way money is made. In most of these cases, these sellers can't or don't want to sell to a regular buyer. Now, you can find these kinds of properties through wholesalers, through direct mailing, calling, texting, or word of mouth. But here's the truth about wholesale lists. Because the lists in my area, at least this is my experience, are falling apart trash that looks something short of a treehouse made by a blind monkey. I mean, it is junk. And the reason the wholesaler got the property is because the seller knows nobody wants it. Okay, great. There's a flipper for that, but it isn't me. The flips I like best come from relationships. Agents who call me first when they know a property won't qualify for regular financing. There's also families that need a quick cash buyer. When we're in real estate, we have a big following like I do in the Central Florida area. People are going to reach out because they know, hey, you know what? That person knows someone who can buy my house. But while we're mentioning that, where to look and how to set yourself up for flipping, I want you to know that I did put together a Smart Flippers Guide. It's a resource that encapsulates a lot of this video, but also goes into greater depth on what you want to know if you're going to get in the investing game. And if you want a copy of that, my information's right here on the screen. Please request it. Are you ready to make a move? Make one call, that's all, and put my 23 years of experience and nearly 4,000 satisfied home sales to work for you.
Jared Jones is the way to go. Call 706-5000.
All right, so you've got a deal. Now you need the money, okay? So you got a little bit on your own, but where do you get financed? The reality is that mortgage companies most likely are too strict. Now, flippers are going to use hard money lenders or private money lenders because these are going to be folks that care about the deal itself. They lend based on what they see happening with this house you just bought. They don't necessarily care about your credit. They don't necessarily care about your own general financial picture and ability to repay as much. The other benefit is these funders are used to funding quickly, maximum 3 weeks, but in many cases, 2 weeks or less. Now, private money is basically your friends and family and local investors. Many of these will have money to lend. They want a nice return and they know you're going to be in and out in a short period of time, so they're willing to lend it. There's also a host of hard money lenders that will lend you anywhere from 70, and I've seen as much as around 90% plus for the cost of capital to purchase as well as repair. And more or less, you have to understand the more experience you gain, the more interested they are in investing in you. So the less experience you have, the less money they're likely to put into the deal. And the more times you have flips, the more willing they are to let you have capital. The other interesting thing is that in my experience, a lot of these lenders will also not require you to service the debt monthly. They will just collect when you close. There are obviously fees and they vary from lender to lender in order to fund these types of loans. All right, let's talk renovation. And honestly, this is where rookies make the biggest mistakes that either cost them a lot of money or make them great money if they do the right things. Caution, don't do cheap lipstick flips. Buyers in the marketplace can smell bad workmanship from a mile away. Don't blow your budget on things that don't move the needle either, like a brand new AC when the old one works fine. Focus on visible, value-adding improvements. Try and buy in this way if you can. Now, kitchens, baths, flooring, and curb appeal, these are the things that add up. And one of those pro tips, secrets I told you I'd offer you at the very beginning is I have my inspectors come back. Right at the moment my contractor says, Jared, it's time for final payment. We're all done. Obviously, I walk the property, have my eyes on general workmanship, but I also send a home inspector through. They check every little thing, every cabinet, every insecure toilet seat, every outlet, the plumbing connections. They check it all. And they will find many, many things. And a pre-inspection is amazing on a flip. Most people aren't doing them. Crazy to me. I didn't do them for many years at the beginning, but it's awesome because number one, I can catch the crew while they're on site and before I've paid them. And number two, I prevent the buyer from finding loose, random things that distract them. Because you got to understand, a lot of buyers go on YouTube and they say, hey, what does it mean to buy a flip from an investor? There's all this scary stuff about terrible investor flips and how weak they are and how they didn't do their research and how they probably hid all kinds of things. So you do not want to create chaos, and you do want to give a good product to the marketplace. You want to provide the keys to someone with confidence knowing, yeah, I made a profit, but this person's going to get something good. Stand behind it. Imagine you're a builder and say, how would I want to offer something of value to the public? Now, we all know you can go look at flips. There's a lot of properties on the market that look like garbage. Buyers can see them. If your baseboards have bumps, your floating floor is actually wavy, all this stuff, terrible, terrible move. Doing dumb things. Now, once the home is renovated, you list it. You need a good real estate professional. Ideally, you have someone at the front who helps you find these deals. And if you're in the Central Florida area, if you're flipping another home throughout the country, myself and my partners, when we're helping alongside of you, not only do we help you find good deals, but part of the service I provide before we put your home on the market is I provide the pre-list inspection as part of the process before we start. Now, let's talk about marketing your home. Now that it's fixed, it's renovated, you're ready to hit the market, make sure you do a phenomenal job in today's market in marketing it. You need great professional photography. You should have video touring. You should have floor plans. You don't want too many photos. If the agent you hires puts a 2,000 square foot house on the market with 80 photos, something's wrong. You need fewer, better photos. You want to make it easy for a buyer to digest, not get lost and click out because they wanted to see the backyard and it's photo number 85. It's crazy. Don't do that. But more importantly, don't be ridiculous with your pricing model. There's no advantage to be on the market for 90 days in a market where the average day on market is 45 days. Serious buyers are going to smell a problem. They're going to know your house is double on the market longer than it takes. And one of two things is going to happen. They're either going to tell themselves that you're unmotivated or that your flip is sloppy and they probably shouldn't buy it anyways. There must be hidden traps that someone else figured out and people are going to work against you and you don't want that. The reality is you should be pricing a premium over homes in the marketplace that aren't as sharp as yours, but you need to be realistic about it. You don't have to give your home away, but you also need to be smart about the marketing plan. One of the things I encourage you to do before you list your house, understand the median price for the area, understand supply and demand relationship in the given area. Is there a high supply chain or is your house a unicorn? Is there nothing like it? And it's truly indeed going to be something that flies off the market. And maybe you take a more conservative approach as a result. But as I mentioned earlier in the video, serious and smart investors with any tenure know it's better to be predictable. It's better to have safety in the process, have good exit strategy, know exactly who's going to buy your house because all of this matters. If you're going into a marketplace that has very poor demand, you are in danger of really long holding costs. If you buy a property with a serious litany of potential issues that could raid your renovation budget, you are walking in dangerous territory. Keep in mind, yes, we could all try and swing for the fences on one house that makes $100,000, but if you do 10 houses safely at $40,000 each, that's a generous profit. But as for me, I'm about stacking safe, repeatable base hits. That's how you win the game. And if that's the case and you're serious about flipping, adjust your profit, the profit you're trying to pull out of each deal, based on risk. Buy where demand is strong. Focus on quality where buyers at the end will fight for your house. And that's how you build a successful real estate business, at least as far as I'm concerned. And again, if you want my Smart Flippers Buyer's Guide, or if you're ready to get started here in Central Florida, email me at info@jaredjones.com. You know the number. I'd love to be a resource to help you get your first deal done the smart way.
Jared Jones is the way to go. Call 706-5000.
If you're in the Central Florida area and you're looking for a great church, I'd love for you to join me at the Grove Bible Chapel. Just visit joinmeatthegrove.com for full details.